What's the greatest gift your father ever gave you? I bet it can't be a greater flex than what Fatima radiallahu anha got from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fatima radiallahu anha once came home to the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to visit the Prophet of Allah because he was sick. And as she entered, the Prophet of Allah became so happy. He called her one side by his right side, and then he whispered something into her ear, and she started to cry profusely. And then he whispered something else into her ear, and then she began to smile, and she became so cheerful. So Aisha radiallahu anha says, we were all there. We didn't know what the Prophet of Allah said, but we were shocked. So after the gathering, I went to Fatima radiallahu anha and I said, oh Fatima, you got to tell me what the Prophet of Allah told you. And she said, Ma kuntu li ufshiya sirra Rasulillah. I'm not going to divulge the secret that the Prophet of Allah told me. And then the Prophet of Allah passed away. And then after the demise of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Aisha radiallahu anha came back to Fatima radiallahu anha and said, oh Fatima, you got to tell me that incident, what transpired that day. And Fatima radiallahu anha said, okay, I'll share it with you. The Prophet of Allah told me that Jibreel alayhi salam would revise the Quran once a year with him. But that specific year he revised it twice, which meant that that's a sign he's going to leave this world very soon. So I started to cry profusely. But then he seen me crying and he wanted to tell me he's got a gift for me. And so he whispered something else into my ear and he said, does it not please you, O Fatima, that Allah has conferred upon you the status of officially being the Queen of Jannah?